Right. Okay. So yesterday we have started with the chapter 7, in which hardware and software co-design we have little small concepts we have started. So any embedded system we take, definitely it is made up of hardware as well as software. Okay. So hardware is developed by a group of people or engineers. Software is by group of software engineers. Here, if by end of the product, these two should be embedded. Embedded means merging with each other or attaching with each other. Someone, Rupa, mute yourself. Okay, thank you. Right. So if final goal is to merge or embed hardware and software together, it is very important to know how the hardware will be during a software development and how the software will be during the hardware development. That means hardware development team and software development team should be known to each other such that their design will be no problem during the final stage of embedding. Okay, so that is what idea, and also how to select a different models. From this chapter you can expect one question that is in the 7.2 heading. Okay, as a small introductory part, we have few concepts here. Okay, so fundamental difficulties in hardware and software co-design. Issues in the sense difficulties. Okay, so what will be the Preeti Pujar? I'm getting noise from your side. Right. Okay. So in the sub steps of this fundamental issues in the hardware software co-design, the first one is selecting a model. Okay, so please remember this. It is not a very major difficult situation where it is selecting a model. That means here we are about to select a model. It doesn't mean we have already selected. That means hardware team should not say the model is already selected, so software should modify, or software team should not say our programs is already ready and only thing we cannot change, so hardware design should be changed. Not like that. Since it is a beginning step, both hardware and software team representatives sit together and they should decide. Okay, see the important thing is choose a suitable model. Choose a suitable model based upon the system characteristic. Okay, but the same step, what we call as a selecting a model, is not decides about development. Please, that is important. Okay, so there is no exactness in this step. There is no exactness. Okay, that means what? It's just a I mean imagination step. Okay, actually if this is success, then further all steps will be correct. Okay, but thing is here there is no restriction that hardware team should not stick on to their things or their views, and software team also. So they should come up with a better idea such that since there is no exactness, they both team can cooperate with each other and decide which will be good for the final product. Okay, so next step onwards is important. Okay, once you both understood that hardware will be like this and software will be in this method, so then comes defining or selecting the architecture. There are two types of architecture: hardware architecture, software architecture. Okay, I hope you know software engineering. In that the chapters software architecture. In particularly, if I try to recall you two small headings like waterfall model, spiral OM spiral model. I remember these many. Okay, so some other development models might be there. Okay, agile method, something is there. Those are the decisions in which whether they are going to do with a waterfall model or a spiral model or evolutionary method, agile method. Among them, which method is suitable for the product, that is decided by software development team. That is called a selection of a software architecture. But hardware architecture is very important here. Okay, both are actually important, but hardware architecture points for some of the important concepts. Now the thing is, If it is an embedded system, generally we prefer first choice microcontrollers. Okay, so say for example, today I want to develop some product. Okay, so which is going to do 2 or 3 activities, limited activities. So I will think it as okay, microcontroller is sufficient. But once I launch that into the market, maybe that market hit, sorry, they maybe that product hit the market very well, so that everyone will be using that product. In that time, what that as a owner, what will be my idea is go on adding the features and let that product be in the market. Okay, the same concept happened with the mobile. When mobile was initially launched in the market, it was only for a communication purpose. So what they did was only communication purpose. They developed using microcontroller. Okay, but now evolution took place in mobile technology itself, such that nowadays mobile can do any kind of activity. So that means what it not restricted itself to only, I mean, it not restricted to very few work like only communication, only sending a message, only receiving a message. Now it is into the vast area of application. Now I cannot call mobile phone as a microcontroller based application, because it is doing hundreds of works, crores of work. Okay, so wherever it is useful, I can install that software and use it. So that means what, I can use the mobile phone everywhere. So I cannot call this as embedded system. Now I can call this as general purpose system. That's why we used to say nowadays mobile are almost like a computer. Okay, so in that way, if your idea is today may be limited, but tomorrow it may be very vast, or it may get a scope, a high scope in the market. So like that, whether you should choose only controller or you should use a processor, that based upon that we have to decide. Who is going to do this decision? It will be the hardware team. Okay, and also whether the processor, I mean, hardware is risk oriented or a CISC oriented. Risk oriented means faster in execution. CISC oriented means slower but more efficiency. Okay, and also von Neumann architecture or Harvard architecture. So, which type of architecture it should use, and VLIW. I hope you are hearing this word now. So I will explain it once I will get that side heading. Okay, which architecture with respect to hardware it is good, that is decided by hardware team. Okay, I hope you understood the point here. Selecting architecture is first decided step. First decided step. Even though we conducted a first step called selecting a model, there it was no decision yet. Okay, but first decision we took is in the step of selecting architecture. Okay, if you select controller based architecture, if you select controller based, that means what? If you finalize that you are going to use only microcontroller, then what is the restriction? I mean, if I am sure that if I have decided I'm going to develop a embedded system using microcontroller, I have to be stick on that. I cannot use it everywhere. Okay, so it should be very specific. Okay, how it is developed, I hope we can see here. One is a state resistor and 2 combination circuits. I will mention how it works. Okay, state resistor means one who maintains state of the machine, in which state it is, whether it is a running state, executing state, wait state, ready state, etc. For that, we should maintain one state resistor and 2 combination circuits for collecting the input and processing them, finally giving the output. These are the 2 combination circuits. Okay, so these are the subtypes of architectures, which is comes under main selecting architecture. So that's a data path architecture. Here, data holds very important. Okay, so wherever data moves, based upon that, we decide it as an architecture. So if I think we can take help of waterfall model or this one spiral model. What you remember about waterfall model is, if one step is completed, then only you have to go for next step. Once the second step is completed, then only you are supposed to go for third step. First step and second step parallelly we cannot do. Second and third parallelly we cannot do. Since first step is already completed, after third step, like a design, you cannot go for requirements. I hope you remember that waterfall model. So here the flow of data from which step to which step it is moving, that holds very important. Okay, so if we are using waterfall model, we could say it's a data path architecture. So what happens for spiral model? So here one requirement is to collect, I mean consider based upon that one product is launched. Again, second requirement, second product in new version. I hope you can see Windows 8 and Windows 8.1. So maybe they may come with you can see nowadays we are using a mobile. So after 15 days or a month of a time, it will ask us to update the OS. So it doesn't mean we have replaced the OS with a new. For same existing OS, we are adding features. We may delete some features. That is called as data path architecture. So then comes finite state machine data path. So that means what data path means, how the data is moving. Okay, from which component to which component, from which part of embedded system to another part of embedded system, like that. Here, this architecture doesn't bother about in which state the machine is, but as a complexity of embedded system increased, it is important to maintain one state of the embedded system. For that, which state it is right now present, okay, whether it is in the ready state or execution state, etc. So that should also be taken consideration along with the data. So hence the system, the architecture is called a finite state machine and data path architecture. Not only data separate, not only state separate, together we have to consider. Next of 2 points, you know already, CISC architecture, RISC architecture. ARM, what we have studied is a RISC architecture. Nowadays, all processors, even a mobile is ARM, sorry, even a mobile belongs to RISC architecture. Okay. Next, this here is important. Very long instruction word. If I want to develop one calculator, okay, which does not only calculate day-to-day life mathematics, numbers. Instead, I want to calculate a distance. I want to design on a calculator which works between two planets distance, or something like a two-star different distances, like that. Means length of values, whatever I want to give, that is very long. In that time, we cannot execute using a simple CISC or simple RISC. We have to go for very long instruction word. I hope you understood. So generally it is a multiplication function which executes there. Okay, distance between two planets, I mean most lengthy number or lengthy operands calculation. Okay, so then comes parallel processing architecture. So all these methods, earlier methods were sequential execution. That means one after another. But what you mean by parallel processing architecture? See, if you remember, if you try to remember, I mean pipelining. Pipelining is for sequential execution. Okay, pipelining is for sequential execution. Same way, is it possible to identify independent multiple instructions and fetch them at a time and execute them at a time? If that architecture, if that is required, then we should use parallel processing architecture. One example I would like to give you is, once we insert a card in the ATM machine, and we will give correct password, and also we will give I want to withdraw 5,000 rupees from the ATM. So once I give 5,000, it will check parallelly two things. One, whether 5,000 currency is available in that ATM machine itself or not. That is the first thing. If yes, parallelly it will send a message to bank account of my bank account, whether more than 5,000 is there in my account or not. See, this is parallel checking. Okay, one is it checked whether it is inside the ATM to give user. Another thing, whether that much amount is present in user account in the bank or not. See, this is what parallel processing. If you need two or three processing at a time, then we have to go for parallel processing architecture. Next, last point for selection is selecting a language. See, selecting a language means you have two concepts, as I mentioned, hardware and software. So some of the software engineers are comfortable with the C++. Some person is very good with Java. Okay, what it happens is like something, whatever the work assigned for him, he will try to execute in C++. This person wants to execute in Java. So finally, if all the people are develop their code in own comfortable language, it will difficult for someone who is going to assemble them and execute. In the same way, hardware part also, one person may manufacture using one method, another person may manufacture another part with another method. So there should be perfect combination with all. Then only what we can say is hardware and software code designing was well. Okay, so the last point is partitioning system into hardware and software. See now, this is important. This requirement. See, some person will come and tell, okay, this is what I need. For this, you develop one system, one product. Okay, here whether that product should be given, that work should be given for hardware team as a responsible or a software team as a responsible. Who should be the main responsible person? That will be the issue. So that is also kind of little difficulty, but this is not difficult like the earlier things. Okay, so this is one theoretical part. So here you may get a question in the examination. Second thing, what are the computational models we are using in the embedded system? So there are five. One is a data flow graph, state machine, construction, concurrent process, sequential program, and object oriented. Among these five, okay, you have to practice five the diagrams as it is given in the textbook. Okay, because so one or two question, sorry, first and second can be asked for 5 marks, but rest all can be asked for 8 to 10 marks. These are little lengthy, so practice the program. Okay. Fine, let's start first computational model. So why it is called as computational model is we can decide something by this. We can decide something by this, whether system will be doing correct, whether system will be doing wrong, at what time, how it may behave, at what time, how it should not behave. Those all studies we can do with the help of some of these computational models. First computational model is DFG. Okay, data flow graph. Okay, very simple way, it is your C program flowchart. Data flow graph means C program flowchart. Okay, if you, I hope if I say this flowchart, you know better than the concepts. What we have here limited. You have done flowchart for your C programming, or even in the data structure also you might be doing. Okay, the data flow graph is based upon flow of the data, okay, and here the data flow is represented using arrows, and stages are represented using circle. I repeat, stages are represented using circle, data flow is represented using arrows. Let us have data flow diagram, that's a DFG, data flow graph. You, for the two equations, x equal to a plus b and y is equal to x minus c. So if you substitute here x, what happens? A plus b bracket minus c. I repeat, a plus b bracket minus c. Okay, no need of bracket also. A plus b minus c also. Very simple way. So what is a graph for y down? What is a graph for y? First, graph for y is made up of what? X and c. X is made up of what? A and b. Okay. If it is clearly visible for you, I hope you can easily imagine this. See now, DFG, y equals x in the circle operation minus c. See, this x is a arrow mark which indicates data. C is a arrow mark which indicates another data. In the circle, it's an operation which is called as a process, and we should write symbol of it. Should write symbol. So how the x is made up of? It is made up of summation. Summation means plus. Plus of how many? Two things. What are those? One data and another data. What is the name of first data and second data? AB. I hope very simple. A, B added. The result is called as X. X from X, C is subtracted, and the result is called as Y. The same DFG, that we call it as a data flow graph, we can convert into conditional. Here you can see conditional data flow graph. I repeat, conditional data flow graph means what? When data should supply, when data should not be supplied. So that's what we used to mention a rhombus in our flow chart. Okay, rhombus indicates what? Decision making step. Yes or no. If yes, do this. If no, don't do this. Like that. Okay, you can see now. Now let us add this statement. One condition. What is that? A condition here you can see. If a flag is one, if flag is one, then perform the operation. If a flag is not one, don't perform this plus, don't also perform this minus. I hope you understood. Instead of taking directly X and Y, we have attached one condition for flag. If a flag is one, so what do you mean by flag is one? True or false? Correct? Okay, you can see now. Program flow starts. Flag is checked. Is flag equal to one? Yes means true. Yes. So A and B, A and B plus work is done. A and B plus work is done. Okay. Next, what is Y? Y, it's not a X minus C. So that's why I'm mentioning here. It's a minus B. Earlier it was X minus C. No? Now it is changed to A minus B. Don't worry. It's just concept is based upon the condition it is flowing. Okay, so even though we can take a C minus D also, anything. Okay, coming back here, flag is one, A plus B, same A minus B. Priti Pujar, whatever you are doing is recording on the screen with your name. Your student, your friends are getting disturbance. If you have a doubt, you can later the file whatever I upload on YouTube, check. All your disturbance is recorded, under recording. Right? Okay. So, and also the execution of this here, y equal to a minus b, that is also based upon the flag. Okay. So if the flag is 1, not only a plus b, also you perform a minus b. A minus b. Okay. So now you can see here, when x plus, when flag is 1, the answer of minus is executed. Okay, I'm sorry. There is a semicolon here. I got disturbance. Okay, there is a semicolon. That means what? This flag is applicable only for x, because flag equal to 1, x minus, x equal to a plus b, else part. I forgot to mention this. Else means what? A flag, if a flag is 0, then a minus b. That is what I meaning. Correct? You can see now. Flag is true means a plus b. Flag is false means a minus b. Okay. Please remember now, very important, there is no connection from plus to minus. Why? Because both are operands. I mean, both are operations. That we should not make a connection. See now, here like this. Now condition, why the both arrow mark are joined here? Thing is, either a plus b will execute or a minus b will execute, not both, because plus works when flag is high, minus works when flag is low. Both operation not possible. That means here either I will get a plus result or I will get a minus result, not the both. I hope I am clear with the conditional data flow graph. Okay, fine. Next comes state machine model. State machine model. Okay, so this is slightly new for you. Actually, you have studied this for in your previous semester, Mealy machine and Moore machine. Okay, same diagram concepts, same, but not problem oriented, theoretical. Okay, see, state machine model indicates in which state the machine is presently, and which all the states machine will move to, what is the reason. So let me give one example how the how vehicle will move from idle 0 speed to 60 speed. What are the activities you do? Say first activity, you have to there should be a driver on the seat. Okay, when driving seat, so either it may be a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler, it should be there. So nowadays we may get a driverless car, but traditional method is what? There should be a driver. So second thing, he take a key from his pocket and put it in the slot, key slot, go for ignition, then he give an accelerator. See how the state changes. Even now the machine is or the vehicle is zero speed. Okay, now he will put a first gear and leave the clutch and give the acceleration. Okay, leaving clutch and accelerating, so that increases from 0 speed to 10 speed, 12 speed, 15 speed, like that. So once he reaches a 20 speed, he will change the gear from 1 to 2. Now speed increase to 40, 50, like that. Again he will gear up, gear up, third gear. Okay, so again speed is reached. See now how the state has changed from idle, that is a standing vehicle, to 60 speed. These all are the activities. So from change from one state to another state, if some machine has changed its state, it should be noted or represented using state machine model. If I show you one diagram, I hope you can easily understand that. And short form of state machine model is called as FSM, finite state machine model. Okay, here I will show. See now, this diagram is for seat belt warning or a alarm in the car. Okay, generally what is a default case? Alarm off, alarm off. You have placed the key in the key slot, you have ignition, you have moved key forward, I mean rotated the key forward. So what happens? Ignition key started, right? So process is waiting for you to wear a seat belt because you have just ignited, not yet started a moving, correct? So if you turn on immediately, that means you don't want to wear a seat, you are not moving a vehicle. So suddenly what happens? You checked whether car will start in the first start itself or not. Yes, it is working. So what you will do, you don't want to go anywhere. So what you will do, you will turn off. In this time seat belt is not required. Okay, in this time seat belt is not required. So what it will do, it will stop the alarm. Actually alarm itself is not started because it waited whether you will move really or just you check whether ignition is correct or not, like that. So now what happens? Okay, see, you have started, ignition is on, ignition is on, you are about to give the gears and acceleration, etc. So what happens? Suddenly it came to know that you are about to move the vehicle, you are about to move the vehicle. Suddenly alarm starts, alarm starts making a sound, alarm is on. So it will make a sound for about 1 minute or a half a minute. If you listen to that, if you listen and got to know that the alarm is not because of not wearing the seat belt, you will wear the seat belt now, you will wear the seat belt now. Okay, you will wear the seat belt now. So alarm will be off but you can move. Yes, alarm will be off, you can move because ignition is on. So now what happens? You are not at all interested to wear a this one, a seat belt. So what happens that time? Okay, one option is alarm time expiring. Okay, so it will give us a warning, give warning for about 30 seconds. Then it is confirmed that you are not interested to wear, so it will stop the alarm. Okay, so nowadays there might be the some of the cars without wearing you cannot even move, without wearing a seat belt you cannot even move, but it's a some small concept. Okay, so now coming back here, you are not interested to go, I mean move forward, and also alarm is not time, means not it is not allowing, it is not getting muted. So what is the option you have? Option is worst case. What is the worst case? Okay, you don't want to wear a seat belt, and also alarm is not off. Okay, but you don't want to listen the sound. What is the option you have? Stop the car. If you stop the car, alarm will also be off. Okay, so this is what the idea. The last ignition key off, that's not a good way, but it is a good when you reach to the final destination of your target. Okay, so then it is correct. But without reaching that, so you have two options: either you compromise with the alarm should compromise with you, or you should compromise with the car by wearing a seat belt. Okay, here how many states are there? Alarm off, alarm waiting whether you will wear a seat belt or not, alarm making a sound. From one state to another state, there should be something. Okay, now you go and sit in the car. Don't put a key in the slot. Okay, so that means engine is not on. If engine is not on, the alarm off maintains. Okay, let me draw here. So you have not inserted a key not attached or not inserted. Okay, not inserted. Okay, so when the alarm is on continuously, no seat belt, you are also not wearing, and that car is also not allowing you to drive, means not muting the sound, not no mute option. Okay, when it will wait is you have ignition is done, ignition is done, but you have not applied any gear. You have not applied any gear. Ignition is on, but you have not applied any gear. That means what? Maybe due to this lockdown, we have parked a car about 20 days. So what we used to do is like charging for, I mean, keeping it race in the same place. Okay, so we will start the car, then we will run the engine for about 5-10 minutes so that battery will not drain out. I hope you understood now. Small idea. So in that time, no need of wearing a seat belt, because in the same place you are charging for the battery. Okay, in that time, no need of seat belt. So that means what? Computer, oh sorry, this one, car embedded system will wait. Okay, whether you are going to put a gear and move forward. Okay, so that means it will not give a alarm. Okay, I hope you understood this. So that's what same thing is explained in terms of statements. Okay, when the timer has a waiting time. Okay, some cars wait up to 1 minute, some may wait up to 30 seconds. Okay, some car may compromise like a old car, but today's car may not compromise. Unless you wear a seat belt, you cannot put a gear and move ahead. Like that the things are. Okay, so let's go for one more type of system. Okay, so how actually it works, this one. So car is idle, car is ready, and car is running. These are the three states. You can take this example of your own choice. Computer playing music. Okay, so what you will do? Computer is idle. Okay, computer is idle doesn't mean off. Computer is ready, but we have not yet played any music. So what happens? I will load that song file from my D drive, E drive, etc. Okay, so if that file is present within a limited amount of a time, that song is loaded onto RAM. Okay, that's a ready. Let's assume. Okay, so what happens from there? If the audio driver is ready, VLC player is available, and I have clicked correct on the file which I want to listen to music. So everything starts. I will get a. I will. This is called as running a program. That is what we call it as. We can hear a music. Okay, we can hear a music. Now, what are the some options you have? Okay, so up to what the song will play. I mean, you have two options. Either you can listen full song, or you can discontinue any stage. Discontinue at any stage. Okay, so what happens is you will listen. Let's assume you listen full. After that, what happens? You have selected only one song, and that is played. So VLC player become minimized. It doesn't have one more file to play, so it will stop. If you place 10 music files, so after playing 10 music files, it will stop. Okay. Now, what happens? You trying to play a music. Okay, you trying to play a music. File is not available. File is not available in the hard disk. So that means what happens? The VLC player and the RAM with the memory management unit try to fetch a file from disk. Okay, they may try for a second, 100 millisecond or 1000 millisecond. So finally, what is the response they will give? The file is not present or the file is corrupted. So we will get VLC player will show like this. Can't play such a files. I remember such a thing. Okay, we can't play this type of a media file, etc. Okay, so that even that may happen when that should be the output, when format are not matching. Also within a expected time data is not available. So that time what happens for VLC player? It is back to idle state. Okay, so here from idle state to within an expected amount of a time, it will try to fetch a data. If data is ready and associated hardware devices are ready, like a speaker, battery, etc., the music will be started. Music will end by two methods: either data playing is success and done, or you have turned off in the middle. Worst condition, this from ready to failure. Why failure? Because we expect music file is correct, that's why we clicked, but due to some unavoidable error in the middle of the processing, that the playing music has got stopped. So that is also takes us to lead, sorry, idle. Okay, I hope you understood this. Now let's take one example. Please practice this diagram. Okay, it's a tea vending machine, tea or a coffee vending machine. I hope you have seen this in our college Xerox center or any of the shopping mall, etc. Okay, so now how it works. This is what the diagram is. So, okay, so state A, which is a starting state. If you read this edge, if you read this edge, you can easily understand what is happening. See, wait, state A means wait for a coin. Okay. State B, wait for user input. He has to give whether a tea or a coffee. State C, dispense. That means pour tea or coffee, what he has selected. Okay. Dispense the tea. Okay. Sorry, we have option. If he has given in the state B as a tea, it will go to state C. If he has selected coffee in the decision, it will go to state D. What is A state? Coin. See, immediately after coin, it will go for menu, whether you want a coffee or a tea. So let's say he has selected for tea. What is a tea state? C. This is an arrow mark. Okay, one event, one action. What is the action? He has pressed on T button. He has pressed on T button. Action, that's it. The actual amount, measured amount of tea is dispensed and back to idle state. Next person will come. He will put a coin. He will put a coin. Okay. He will select a coffee button. So coffee will be dispensed for a calculated amount of a time. Then it is come back. Right. Okay. He will put a coin. He will put a coin and he will not give any button. He will not give any button, or he will press cancel button. So again give coin back to him because he don't want a tea or a coffee. So again wait for next person turn. Hope it is clear now, right? So less than a minute is remaining. Give your attendance and leave the session. You can write this FSM vertical also.